Good day. In today's day, I'm going to talk about 5 shortcuts you can use to effectively pass job interviews. The first one I'd like to share with you would be to simplify the process based on the milestone you're at. So the simplest example would be that if you prepare for a phone screening round, you don't need an entire story bank to pass your interview. Still, a study bank can be a great long-term investment, but if your goal is just to pass a screening round, there's better ways to go around this than to overspend time on prepping your stories, right? If you have another scenario that you are on short notice preparing for a final interview round, for example, your interview is only 3 or 4 days away, again, you don't stand a chance. Most of you don't stand a chance in building an actual story bank, and you prefer to shortcut a little bit the process. Maybe simplify some key behaviors, maybe they give you some insight on what to prepare your upcoming job interview, but don't overstructure your interview unless it's for a final interview round. Okay. The second shortcut I like to talk about here would be your elevator pitch is best prepped last, not first. During your journey, I was primarily speaking about final interview rounds in a context where you actually want to prepare thoroughly your job interview. Why do I say this? Well, because preparing your elevator pitch is something enjoyable, something many people will overspend time on. Whereas if you start with the complex stuff first, brainstorming for stories, building a proper story bank on a model of behavioral competencies, then it will take you little to no time in the end to come up with an elevator pitch that's going to be efficient during job interviews. People no longer pass interviews on first impressions these days, especially during the final interview rounds. So this is why you should avoid overspending time where you feel like it's enjoyable, but it doesn't yield super significant results. Okay, the third shortcut, and I realize this won't bring me many new friends here, would be that there's candidates who use AI, and then there's candidates who pass interviews. Okay, so yes, AI can be a technical miracle, but not for interview prep. Okay, and I covered this extensively, so I won't insist on this. I'll just briefly mention 2 or 3 scenarios here. AI, the use case for AI is cheap interviewing advice in a market where in a market that's oversaturated with interviewing advice, right? So if you wouldn't be able to get interviewing advice, then yes, I would understand the case for AI. But nowadays the case for AI is Google search. They might compile a list of Google's best resources to give you the best possible advice, and even there I even challenge you, it's not really the case, right? Or another very common scenario is you use AI to reward your answers. Well, I can tell you this will disqualify from an interview with serious people within the first 5 minutes, or at least that's how long it takes me to spot someone who's rewarding their answers using AI, right? The fourth way to shortcut your interview prep and spend time more efficiently is to get help. Okay, so believe it or not, if you hire someone to give you advice on what's the best approach to your interview journey, that can save you quite a bit of time. And this is basically one of the most common use cases of my clients these days, right? For example, I can tell you if your interviewing skills are good enough, if your communication skills are good enough for the purpose of a job interview, after a bit of role play, but it doesn't take long for me to figure these things out. So if communication is a strength, then probably your investment of time would be in your story bank. Okay. If communication isn't your strength, then you might need a combination of both, right? But I found that it's an extremely useful scenario, especially for senior types or especially for busy people, to get help, to hire someone to help them in their interview prep journey, because this can yield some interesting results. And just one more use case here. You could even hire someone to write your stories for you. I know many people who get discouraged even because of this process of writing their own stories. So if you hire someone to help you write your stories, that could also significantly boost your motivation. Right? I don't provide such services, by the way. And the fifth way you'd want to shortcut your interview prep, it's something that you must have a vision, a long-term vision for these things. And it's oftentimes when you ask people who interview well, hey, what's your secret? Why do you interview so well? Well, they say, I don't know, I didn't prep that much. It just came in naturally to me. When in fact, all the best candidates, people who can interview well, have a story bank in the back of their head. They do go through their stories because most of the time their job involves communicating the type of experience and expertise they have. So they sell themselves on a constant basis with their story banks. And that's why they perform well consistently in job interviews. Now, what happens is for most candidates, you will have to build a story bank, and that's why the investment would be quite significant in the beginning. But if you invest the resources to build your own story bank, one that you're proud of, you can repeatedly use that story bank. You can repeatedly take advantage of that one-off investment for the rest of your career. And this is actually something that not many people realize. That's actually a huge time saver, that you no longer take each interview as a one-off experience, but rather as an opportunity to improve what you built on, what you're building on with your story bank. Remember what I said with the best people who interview, they sell themselves on a constant basis. So basically when they interview, they just practice what they're really good at already. Okay, so they already have a story bank, right? So these are my 5 interview prep shortcuts. I hope you found this useful, and thank you very much for watching.